Today, we are honored to present three brilliant alumni from our college who are all currently completing their masters abroad in highly reputed universities.
So today's event blueprint is meant to serve as a guide to our budding civil engineers to help them in their journey on pursuing masters. So do feel free to post questions in the chat box.
Okay, first of all, introducing the alumni in attendance, we have Swarnangshu Ghosh, who is currently pursuing his master's in structural design engineering at the prestigious TU Delft University in the Netherlands. He's also interning as a structural engineer at Verlicht, an eminent company providing professional services in the energy, chemicals, and resources sector.
Next, we have Prithviraj Desai, a master's student and graduate student researcher, specializing in the structured health monitoring program. Prithviraj is currently studying in the Reputed University of California, San Diego.
Present here today, who is an alumni who is aspiring to become a successful construction project engineer, Mr. Venkat Varun. Venkat is currently pursuing his master's in construction engineering and leadership, entrepreneurship and management at the prestigious Purdue University in Indiana.
So without further ado, over to the speakers for today. Starting off with Swarnangshu.
Okay, so yeah, as she introduced, my name is Swarnangshu. I'm pursuing my master's in structural engineering at TU Delft. I can tell you a bit about my hobbies. So I like playing cricket, and there are a lot of Indian girls who get to play a lot of cricket over here, and I also like to play chess. Yeah, that was the question, right? About myself. Yeah. And I'm currently in my second year of my master's, and right now I'm doing my thesis, so it's going well. Not.
Okay.
Over to Venkat, Varun.
So my name is Venkat Varun Gala. You can call me Varun. I recently graduated from NITK in the year 2022. I'm currently pursuing my master's, as he said, in civil engineering with construction engineering and leadership, entrepreneurship, and management. So with specializations. So basically, it's a professional master's program, a non-thesis. So my experience in NITK has been a really good one. And unfortunately, due to COVID, I lost maybe 2 years at NITK, like a physical presence, let's say. But ultimately, I did make a lot of friends and I made a lot of memories as well. And NITK, I felt was like a great first step before, getting into Purdue University, for doing my master's.
Okay, next off, Prithviraj Desai is here. Sir.
Yeah, hi everyone. So thanks for the introduction. So I'm about to graduate as well. I'm writing my thesis and working with my professor to complete my research and try to publish a paper to a conference. So I love to design. I want to be a specialized engineer to build big towers and build skyscrapers, but the health monitoring is still making start. So looking forward to it. It's like more like a future for coming technology and software engineering as a combination. That's what I want to specialize. UC San Diego is one of the universities which gives master's degree in only structural engineering. There is no geotechnical or construction or any other fields of structural engineering. It's pure structural, and we can work a lot of things. There is so much of things we can work at, aerospace. So all in all, it's a great university to come here and explore. Even if you do not have special interest in structural engineering right away, you get a lot of things to come and explore and before get on to your master's degree. So yeah, I think that is it. Tell me about yourself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So a few relevant questions have been gathered beforehand by our club members. We'll begin with reading them out. So question number 1 is, talk a bit about yourselves and your experience in the civil department. We'll go one by one. Whoever wants to start can. So yeah. Maybe Varun.
In my introduction, I basically mentioned this point. But yeah, I can maybe talk more about my experience in the civil department. So basically coming from, so I used to stay in Dubai, and you see all these tall structures being built pretty regularly. So it kind of inspired me to take civil engineering. And I don't know, like if you guys know this, but I'm DASA, okay, in NITK. So it was kind of easy for me to get into NIT. But I was really, let's say, afraid initially because I thought I wouldn't be able to keep up with, really smart people across India, right? But somehow we were able to manage. I made some good friends along the way, like I mentioned, and they had played a very key role. And then, yeah, unfortunately, like I said, COVID took away maybe probably 1.5 to 2 years. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then fortunately, we were able to have like one last semester in college. So I tried my best to enjoy as much as I can before leaving. So
Yeah, so I also had a similar sort of inspiration for choosing civil engineering. I too was very interested in skyscrapers and design of tall buildings. I actually watched the Mega Structures documentary on Nat Geo, and that really got me to civil engineering in general. So after I joined the bachelor's course in civil engineering at NITK, like the kind of courses that were taught, the knowledge that I gained, it was well catered to what I expected out of NITK. And regarding my experience in college, the last year of my college, the 7th and 8th sem were totally online because of COVID. So I couldn't come back to college one last time before graduating. But prior to that, for the first 6 semesters, it was a very great experience, made a lot of friends, and they really help you develop as a person as well. I mean, college years help you develop as a person as well. So it was all in all great experience, but COVID spoiled what might have been a cherry on the pie.
It's so nice to hear you guys got inspired. So my story is entirely different. I had no plans to be a civil engineer, but wanted to try to give a shot in aerospace. Because I thought some way could eventually convert it as an aerospace engineer. So, and came back to NITK and started my civil engineering. So I think no major inspiration, but the motivation, what kept me going, one was the ability to think towards physics and math as a combination. That was always my forte. Like I wanted to do something where I can use my physics because that was my strong hand, and I love math. So it was a combination of both. And I don't think any other profession matches better than structural engineering. So eventually, I think the pushover was the mechanics of materials taught by Manu professor. He's amazing. So I think that class, and I think I got 10 out of 10. I think that's the only first class ever I got 10 out of 10. And I think that pushed my confidence. I can do this. Like I can actually do this. And then eventually started to think about how can I move to aerospace, if at all I don't like structural engineering. But once I came here, I see structure is everywhere. Like the concepts are everywhere. It need not to be just all skyscrapers or anything else. The concepts they teach you, even I think it's true that they teach a lot of general stuff before they move on to specialization. So I think NITK civil engineering had that, especially in the terms of structural. I never paid attention to any other classes than structural because I thought I'm not going to do it anyway. So let me focus on what I want. I think my GPA across all structural courses were really good. Regarding my life, I think it was just as normal as anyone could have. But I think the events, because I was almost before pre-COVID, so we pretty much enjoyed 3 years of our college. So, but then I was trying to hunt for scholarships and a lot of things to do, try to abroad internships maybe, and then everywhere, wherever I can, and try to explore what I really want to do. So I think that is all I had. In and all, not planned, I do not regret it at all. Like, it's one of the best decisions I made, even though it did not happen the way I want, but I still care for it.
Okay, thank you for answering the question. And moving on to our next question is, what attracted you to your field of interest? How long did it take for you to discover it?
Right, I can go ahead on this continuation answer that. Yeah, it did take a lot of time for me. I think at least 3 semesters to decide what I really want to do. And since the inception of the mechanics of materials class, I think that's when it started to really hit. And then the structure analysis 1 and the 2 and steel. So it kept on going. So I think had no plans. So I think it took like 3 semesters to work with inspiration. But I think it's true with everyone that once it really hits you, you will start working towards it and you think big. It need not to be just in your course and GPA, but in life you want to do something with your structural engineering knowledge. So yeah, that's it from my end.
Yeah, so me, like I said, I watched the documentaries and that got me interested into civil engineering. But also, before I joined NITK, I knew I wanted to do something related to structures. And when I joined college, the courses related to structural engineering, they interested me naturally. And so that basically motivated me to pursue structural engineering. And the courses that I've done here have just validated my choice. I really like it.
So for me, it's kind of different because I actually started like thinking like what I wanted to become a structural engineer initially, initially when I joined NITK. But what happened was, so I took it quite towards the end, let's say. So till sixth semester, I did my first internship after my sixth semester, I think. And it was a structural design internship. So right then and there, I didn't really like it because I wasn't able to move around as much. Go to sites and everything. I was just sitting in the office, going at it with, AutoCAD and all that stuff. So I personally didn't enjoy it. I absolutely respect what people do there, but then I personally didn't enjoy it. So that's why I kind of changed my mind, maybe to go towards the on-field side of things like construction engineering, let's say. So that's there. And then what put the cherry on top is I took a course by Professor A.U. Ravi Shankar, called Construction Project Management. And that course also kind of cemented the fact that I really want to pursue my master's in this. So that's my backstory.
I guess that was a really good course, but I did online, so.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, that course, I mean, most of the concepts in CPM are still true in US and every other countries. So those are all typical standard procedures, like you would know, right? In the industries, they do follow a lot of things there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Thank you, guys. The next question is, why are entry-level jobs in core civil companies after BTech so low paying? And how does that change after doing a master's? Is that what has made you all opt for master's degrees? Has it become like a standard, like you have to complete a master's after BTech to get like a good paying job?
Okay, I think I'll go start this. So basically, this is what I think at least. Okay, so I might be wrong. Okay, in this one, like this is my opinion. I think the reason why entry-level jobs are pretty low paying in India is because there's a lot of demand for jobs, and that jobs are like this much. So they can kind of like leverage that companies, they can pay less and get away with it. And what I feel, at least in the US, is that, people value their time and value their work. So for example, let's say a construction worker, right, will probably earn anywhere between $20 to $23, $25 an hour over here for for an hour of their work or something. But in India, it will probably be very less. Like they'll probably, I don't know the exact figure, but it's much lesser, like probably 15, 20 times lesser, per year, by the hour. So that's there. And then masters, the thing is, see, I personally went for masters because I know that, if I do a job immediately after my undergrad, I probably wouldn't have the motivation to go and do masters again in the future, right? I'll be comfortable in my job, earning money and all that stuff, blah, blah. So probably wouldn't have, had that thought cross my mind. So I thought might as well finish my studies and, start off on a little bit, higher note, let's say, like working in the US and all that stuff. So that's kind of the reason why. But I'm not saying it's compulsory. I've seen a lot of people in my batch, like currently at Purdue, who came here after, let's say, 2 years of experience and are doing really well for themselves, already have internships and all that, right? So, yeah, it is what you make of it, I guess. Like both options are completely fine.
Prithvi, maybe?
Yeah, so I have different opinion on this. Like one reason I think India's low paying jobs are because basically any civil or consulting company is a service based company. So they need to get clients on their end, right? So the owner pays the money for any construction or any structural engineering to happen. So the owners are also not the best people. They want to give money, right? So they want to spend as low as they want. So that's the reason consulting companies, like even the big companies, L&D, also bid for projects. So how the bidding works is pretty much they want to try to offer as low as they could so that they can grab the project. And owners are not considerate as well. Like they want to go to the cheapest project they want to. And effectively, all the engineers from top to bottom are going to keep getting like 10%, 20%. And by the time it reaches a fresh entry level engineer who's going to be called design engineer or structural engineer or construction engineer, they all get pennies because at the top, they take all the profits. So I see this entire system frustrated me that there is no hold in it. Like there is no, I have any part to take and talk about it. I cannot do anything. Everyone wants the cheapest projects they want, and it's fair in India because money has a lot of value in India. Compared to US, I was studying a lot because I wanted to make sure whether I want to do masters or get out of structural engineering and do something else too. I had a couple of options. So, like Varun said, value of time, I totally agree with that. Like people value their time here. They agreed with it, and I knew it before I came masters. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to do masters right away, and to get my value of time. And here, how it works is we have something called as it's not the cheapest project they want to go with. It's gonna go the best resourceful project you want to go with. So with the value, the money that they're trying to offer it, I think it's the best service. And that's how consulting companies will make money. It's not the cheapest project. So since you have more budget, they can give more to the fresh level internal engineers too. I think I rightly pointed, $30 per hour in US is pretty common for all civil engineering professions. Maybe structural engineers ought to go a little higher than 30 to 40s. I think that is definitely one of the reason I want to become a master's here. It need not be in America, it could be anywhere in the world. But the thing is, the demand and supply rate also is true. So I would say it's up to you, like how see yourself and entry level experience matter to make sure you made a right choice. You need some time. I think that's the best way to go. But if you're sure you want to go in this master like we to get more experience, get more knowledge, and you can see yourself here. That's the best thing. You can talk about yourself and say why are you an engineer, and they trust you and to be on board. What's greater than that, right?
Yeah, I also echo with Prithvi's opinions, and I would also like to add that, like, when I did my internship here, the kind of work, the kind of topic that was given to me, like the title of my designation was a structural engineering intern. The kind of work I did there, like with my bachelor's knowledge, I could not have done that internship. I had to because it was completely related to the stuff that I did in my first quarter of my master's, first and second quarter. So that's another reason I believe. But you don't really know a lot of things which is actually happening in the company. The universities or the colleges do not train you enough for a practical experience, let's say. So that, in my opinion, is why that's another reason why the entry level jobs are a little opaque in India.
Great. Thank you. Moving on to the next question is, what according to you are minimum skill sets one should build in these 4 years as an aspiring civil engineer?
Right. I mean, even that's a great question, actually. And I would say if you're still in one thing I did in my NITK, which many people know as in GPS. Sorry about that. So one thing I did in NITK was to take management this in my last year. So I pretty much took all possible BA courses with the management departments of, and I was able to build a business perspective. So I would definitely recommend trying to have a business mindset because as you go along the career ladder, you're up to become a manager somewhere in the life. And the skill you want there is how do you manage people and how do you manage time. So I would say technical skills also come at the same level. Try to work around your time management and try to talk to people. That's one of the best things you could do while you're in 4 years. I think NITK is a great platform to do it because I had a lot of events to attend. I was in Road Track Club, so all enthusiastic people walking around. So always like that, maybe that helped you. And then second skill definitely be trying to work on your mental ability. Like especially if you're okay with physics, structural, you should get used to think a lot. And I think you should build your endurance of mental thinking, because many I think structure you should think a lot. Like we gotta think a lot when so I would say definitely try to endure your mental ability thinking in 4 years. I think NITK also does a great job there, but I think an external help would also be great. And third thing would to be getting used to work around Excel sheets. So I don't think we still use Excel sheets as per in my knowledge, but in US at least people heavily rely on Microsoft Office. So sort of if our business suit to all the engineers you want, and then you work with all the things you can work. Spreadsheets are great because it's pretty much like a software where you could do a lot of coding and get used to the formulas and everything. So sometimes the companies do have them already, but sometimes you gotta build your own spreadsheet to calculate all the loads and everything. So you should be used to know how to make formulas and everything. So make sure you have some semi course on Excel sheets. So I think that would be good assets. People use a lot of spreadsheets. So and fourth would be open to ideas, be open to criticism, talk to people and say, can I add to some manual projects? It could be your research projects, it could be your classroom projects. All I'm saying is try to get your opinion. So if you learn these tier 2 soft skills, and I wouldn't say learn anything technical because you'll eventually learn it anyway. So, but the soft skills place so much importance in all abroad countries. Where you go interview, you can't just sit quiet. You gotta talk. You're gonna say something, and you have limited time to do it, and you gotta impress it. So I believe in IDK experience, I attended a couple of interviews, which was L&D, and I think there was some small company. I just went to interviews, and to be honest, it did not go very well because they were really focused on technical aspect. They asked me some questions from IS course, which I don't know where they are. Did they check my soft skills? Did they check how can I form my motion? Check my ability to work long hours? Nothing of those kind. They were just focusing on the technical aspect. Of course, screwed it up. And although I was in my head the last interview, but I did not make it through. So, but when I come here, it's not the fact. Especially coming from a prestigious university, I guess there were just a couple of questions for me. That's anything technical. And they all was, what do you want to do? What's your long vision? What do you want to do structurally? Is there something you want to keep up doing, or you want to live it somewhere around? What's your biggest project you have on mind? These are some questions you need to think instantly, right? So I would say develop thinking, develop soft skills. Technical skills, do not worry about it right away, but try to be as open as you can in NITK. I think NITK offers so many events, so many club things. Just utilize them, and eventually you will make your progress unknowingly. So I think that would be my skills to work on.
Yeah, I mean, I completely resonate with what Prithviraj said. So what I'm going to say right now is not a minimum skill set you would need. It's optional, like you can do it if you want. But then in construction side, there are like two important softwares. The one is Primavera P6, and the other one is Revit for modern 3D modeling. So I mean, like obviously you don't have to go into detail and stuff. Like you can, if you just maybe learn the basics in your free time or whatever, you'll have much easier time in masters. Even if you don't, it's fine. They teach you anyways. But then when it comes to the course itself, they go really quick here because the semesters are pretty short. The introduction is just going to be just 1 week, and then that's it. You're just going to go into start designing everything and all that blah blah. So I would say that maybe getting some basic knowledge on those aspects on your own free time and all that stuff will probably improve you as well. When you go to career fairs, let's say, you can say that I've learned Primavera by myself at this thing, and then you can maybe explain what you did, all that. So yeah, that's just something that I wanted to add from my side from construction.
Yeah, I would just say that focus on your soft skills, as Prithvi and Venkat mentioned. The technical skills, you will be learning it through your journey. And yeah, I mean, the soft skills and speak to a lot of people, it can broaden your perspective on a lot of things. That's very important. And yeah, it should be a good ride for all of you. your bachelor's.
Okay. Thank you, guys. One more question. What is the minimum required CGPA for selection in foreign universities?
Ghosh is the best person to answer, right? Come on.
Okay, so I think you need to be, you need to have a GPA above 8 for sure. Above 8.5, it's very good, but try to always be above 8. If you're below 8, like how I was, you need to back it up with research papers or something else in your profile which adds to the credibility. So I would say on the higher end 8.5, but at a minimum, bare minimum 8. But also, like, do not focus only on your GPA. Do good internships and other research projects, because ultimately it's the combination of these things which makes a good profile, not just one element.
You guys landed in good universities, but did you do internships as in like research internships or like in company based as in like consultancies and all?
Okay, so I'll talk about myself. I did a research internship at IISc. So that is research internship continued. It was scheduled for only 3 months, but then I kept working with the professor uh, to write research papers, and it went well. I also interned at MRPL, Mangalore Refinery Petrochemicals Limited, for a month in December. But I do not think that experience over there benefited me greatly. I think my research papers and my research internship really gave a lot of credibility to my profile. If you are opting for an MS, master's, thesis based in US, then of course your research internships hold more weightage than the industrial ones. But if you in TU Delft, for example, there is nothing called non-thesis or thesis. Like, thesis is part of the curriculum; it's a 40 credits, so you have to do it. Uh, in this, obviously, a research internship is more beneficial. Yeah, so that's my opinion.
I agree with that totally. So, research internships do give a lot of credibility to your profile. I did the same way what Swarnangshu did. So, pretty much entire same story. But one thing I knew that it's a combination of just research and doing extracurricular activities too. So, pretty much same. I would say GPA would matter, but yeah, I think I was the same boat as Swarnangshu, was less than 8. So, but we still made it to it. I think one good reason was to be productive in our work. So, although every research might not be productive, but I think we thought through and put up thoughts in the paper and someone really read it, right? So, that's how you know someone has valued your work. So, I would say most of them tend to do a research and it gives you a extra edge. But I would not recommend if you do not want to do research at all, because research takes a lot of persistence and patience. So it's not to be true that that's your forte. You would be something really okay with just normal work. You don't want to think so much. In that case, maybe industrial experience would work. Maybe that good company would definitely be added on. But again, neither of them is a mandatory requirement to get your master's degree. You can still get into a good university even without them, by your GPAs, by your activities, by your good grades, in a good course, and talk why do you want to do MS. So SOP plays a very important role, right? Like, you want to tell them why you want to do it. So if that's convincing enough, I would say you still get a chance. But definitely research internship over industrial, because that gives you perspective to think, what do I really want to do? And I think that's more important than just putting it on the resume. So I think that I would definitely add on.
Yeah, I have nothing to add on. Like, yeah, these guys hit every single point properly. Yeah.
Okay. So moving to the next question, it is, will according to you, in the near future, with the opportunities for civil engineers will increase in developing countries like India?
That's a great question, actually. And I really think it depends. So, where do I see as India right now is many of the abroad companies are gonna invest in India. So, the US firms are also in India, right? So, you can still apply to Thought and Tenacity, which is in India, Jacobs, which is in India. These are all in the US. And many other parts of the country, right? Many other parts of the world, they are there in India. So they are gonna try work around, see whether they can Indian owners can be clients for them. So if that goes through, I would say it's a huge demand working for structural engineers and construction, because I think these two are the main pillars. The geotechnical are just the groundwork they do. So, but I think construction engineers, CPM or managers and the structure plays a very critical role. So I would say it would go in the way I really hope that goes in that way. But even then, I would also say speak about America. Yeah, America is developed country. I see a lot of improvements happening. If people are aware, there is an infrastructure bill that has been put, which is some $3 trillion for America. So, and already the fundings have started to go to the companies, and they're trying to build new bridges, new skyscrapers, new residential towers, so much of things. So even America is a developed country, the scope is still very high. And especially this construction managers and structural people is going to be involved. And I see the recession happening. I think structural and construction, geotechnical people are going to still be in the jobs, because it's a long-term project. They can't just move you out of the company by just half of the work, right? And it's very hard to replace someone once you have gained the knowledge. So I would definitely say the demand is going to boom in the developed countries as well. Uh, Maybe in other countries too, where I think UK is doing great now, Singapore is doing great in structural. I would say there is limitless, countless opportunities. So just do not. So, but if you're gonna plan to work in India, that's not a demotivation at all. I would definitely think it's gonna go in a way where it's gonna be a win-win situation for everyone. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah. And I just want to put out, like, there's some, let's say, some statistic, let's say. So we have career fairs in our college. So in this current time, you see all these software companies and all, laying off thousands of employees, right? But in our civil career fair, we had record high numbers of companies like coming to our career fair and, hiring people for internships and other roles as well. And like he mentioned, there's a lot of opportunity, because even if you build like a certain piece of infrastructure, you have to, perform operations and maintenance as well in the future for the particular infrastructure, like roads or whatever, utilities and all that stuff. So there's always going to be work for, civil engineers in the US, let's say. Now, when it comes to India, same opinion as Prithviraj. I hope, there's going to be some good developments. I hope we get paid better. I hope we are, way more like, respected, in our own country. So yeah, it's about it.
Yeah, I totally echo with the opinions of Venkat and Prithvi on this regard. So, especially Prithvi made a very good point. If owners in India are getting clients, so that really helps creating many more jobs. So that's very important. So that's happening in the near future. It's good news for all the civil engineers graduating in India. If you talk about the Netherlands, it's a very small country, but it's a country heavily reliant on civil engineers, because 1/4 of the land over here is below sea level. So you need a large section of dikes and dams to prevent the seawater from coming in and flooding the country. So hydraulic engineering is very well respected, and it's a lot in demand here. And also structural engineering, something is getting constructed all the time, and it's very innovative as well. The design of the buildings, and it's very different. So you need like good structural engineers for that. So the opportunities here for structure are also limitless. And as Prithvi said, or Venkat, I don't recollect, like in the career fairs, a lot of civil engineering companies actually come and they tell you what the kind of work that they do. And then based on your interest, you can, reach out to them after the career fair, and you can explore opportunities within the company.
Right. To add on this, while I was hunting for my internship last year, there were so many positions by marine structures, right? So that's what Swarnangshu was talking about. So it's so critical in the coastal part of America or any to build marine structures around it, and they're offshore structures. I would say it's just not structural engineering at all. It has become more wide. It has become more broadened up. So I was really curious, like why people are hiring so much in marine structure. Like some good companies like WSP and RUF are hiring. So, wow, like that's really out of date. I do not think even in masters we learn a lot about marine structures.
Yes.
Again, what I added to was all the master program is going to give me the basic foundation to your all parts of the core jobs you want to do. So I think that's the best thing. So I would say if anyone's here, if you wanna have some out of box thinking, maybe marine structures and hydraulic structures is a thing to go and see what they are about. If go to those universities where they're specializing and getting companies to get hired, maybe you would do something rather than just residential buildings or just putting concrete out slabs. You would, if you want to do something else and different, you want to be a structural engineer. Great opportunities, right? So limitless. Yeah.
Like
You
what
could
else?
always take electives regarding these topics and find out if you're really interested in it or not.
Yeah.
Did NITK have a coastal engineering course? I'm not sure. Did NITK ever have it? Coastal engineering. I believe there was a course.
Yeah, there was. I took the course. Well, I forgot which professor.
From the water resources department, yeah.
I don't know.
Mr. Devaprata Karmakar, I think he.
Yeah, Karma careers.
Yes. I took this course. Yeah.
6th or 7th, sir.
I did not have that course at all in my years. So, but I got to know that the next year had something like coastal engineering. And so maybe good try to do in an now. Yes.
The next question. Can you guys summarize your application process?
Okay, so I'll go first. It's pretty straightforward for me. So I needed a statement of purpose. This is only for TU Delft I'm talking about, not the other colleges that I applied to. For TU Delft, I needed a statement of purpose, telling about what I have done in my college life so far and what I intend to do in the future, the kind of jobs that I want to pursue, and also what my potential thesis topic may be. Because you just write something then it need not match with what you're going to do now, but it should be in line with what the university does. You cannot write something which is way off what the university usually does. So I needed SOP, and GRE score was not needed for MS in structural engineering in my year. That's 2 years back. So I don't know about it now. I needed my TOEFL score and a couple of LORs. That was my application process.
Yeah, pretty much same for UCST. Everything's same, but we had GRE and TOEFL. Because one thing about TOEFL was to get into UC employment, you gotta get 28 in speaking in TOEFL. So I had no idea about that. So I thought just clear the cutoff, you're good to go. But to be a UC employee, you have to be 28 speaking, which shows you're a good speaker as well. So that was something I did not. I got 27, so 1 mark as I had to test back in UC. But yeah, pretty much the same process what he mentioned. One thing I would definitely add for all the prospective MS students is that it all begins where you choose the university. It's not right on it. Like, you gotta choose the universities you're pretty sure you want to go in. So do not just randomly apply Stanford, Harvard, or UC Berkeley just because people tell they're top universities. Of course they are. But is that top university for you is the question. Everything is revolving around you. So maybe that's where you got to start in. So I think that would definitely take time. I really was serious about choosing my shortlisting my universities. I wanted to apply to Delft as well. I wanted to apply these universities where I'm really okay going. And even if I get 1 or 2, I'm happy to go. I would not regret about it. So I think that's the way to go. Best all processes just streamline what Swarnangshu mentioned about it. Those all will happen. But I always recommend the prospective students to work and research about universities. There are thousands and 10,000 of universities in the world. So which is the one for you? So maybe that would take time. But other than that, I think everything is pretty much the same.
Yeah, same. I agree with a lot of things that he said. So, especially the part where, you decide universities before you start like doing, start your application process and everything, because that's the mistake that I did. I kind of pushed it to the last minute. I was like so torn apart between, going for a job or should I go for masters and all that. So I took it to the very end, honestly. So at that point, I was very fortunate that, Purdue University was still like, accepting applications for this thing. So I think the application deadline was April 14th and I applied April 13th. So it's very last minute. So don't do the mistake that I did, like maybe in your third, sixth semester or fifth semester, let's say, start shortlisting colleges, write your GRE if it's required or not. I don't know. For me, it wasn't, at least personally. TOEFL, I think, is compulsory for all US colleges, if I'm not mistaken, like to meet that minimum language requirements. I had to write an additional diversity essay as well. So that was there. So I was in Rotaract Club, so it was kind of easy for me to write that. Yeah, that's pretty much.
Purdue has a good chance to write the SOP in 500 words.
Yeah, it is.
3 pages long. We were keep cutting them down, right? And I think Purdue was the last university I sent because I got to cut down my entire write up in just 500 words. Like, it was so hard to put things we did in 500 words. I think that took a really long time. And like you said, diversity, I remember I submitted it too. So, and like you said, Rotaract Club helped a lot in that. And other than that, I also talked a lot of other things too. But I would say, yeah, so the early prep is where you get time. Especially, I faced a lot of hurdle in getting my SOP in 500 words. I kept reviewing this, asked people around who went Purdue, was like, how did you guys even write 500 words? So I think it's a good challenge. So I think that takes time. So I would say early prep is always great. So even if you're not planning masters right away, at least have in mind what universities you want to apply in the future. So that keeps your mind clear about it. So yeah.
Yeah. On that 500 words thing, like, yeah, I was pretty confused as to how to condense it. But one thing about like Purdue University so far, like I've done one semester, let's say. So far, one thing I've observed is that, they want us to write like precisely, don't write like gibberish, like just unnecessary stuff. They want us to be short and concise with everything. Any assignment you do, any term project you submit, any exam you write it to the point. That's what they want, and that's what they expect as well. Like, all professors have been resonating the same thing in every class with us. So maybe that's why they made us do it in 500 words. I don't know, to see how can we like condense it. But yeah, that's just one point over.
Thank you, guys. The next question. How do you guys manage your finances? So, did you guys apply for any scholarships while applying for the universities?
Right. I would go ahead and say I have my secured education loan from banks. So just to be on the safer side that we have money with us. So regarding scholarships, I work at UC. So UC will pay half of your tuition for you. And they also give you stipends to cover up your living and rents. So I would say, I don't think UC specifically has any scholarships as so, but they try to get you employed. So the moment you get employed, you get the benefits of UC employee, which are tremendous, which are amazing. I would say all the top universities do have it anyway. So I would say even if you do not get scholarships, try to get an employment on campus. And eventually you can move towards the GSR positions, which are research positions, which will pay you a lot more and also adds on to your resumes. So maybe get a bank loan just to be on the safer side if something goes down south. But coming here, you should gotta definitely work hard and try to get positions for you. So at least in California, it's gonna be really expensive. I'm not sure Indiana is gonna be that expensive too, but California is pretty much twice the expense of what is gonna happen. So yeah, be prepared, but do not get demotivated if you did not get. I think I had a scholarship from IIT Chicago and University of Cincinnati. They almost covered my half of the tuition even before I joined. But then I still chose UCST because I guess that's the best.
Yeah, I mean, like I also don't have any like experience with applying for scholarships, but then I can like maybe recommend a few like two YouTube channels. Let's say one is I think Path Vijay Varkia, and then YM Grad as well. Like just look at those YouTube channels. I think they have some videos on scholarships and stuff, so you can get some idea. And also, I think I heard somewhere that there's Ratan Tata scholarship or something like that. I think which gives you like a certain amount of money. I think like in 18 or 20 lakhs. I think it's a kind of like a loan, let's say, but then it's zero interest loans. I'm not exactly sure on that one, so you might have to do your research on that. But yeah, from my end, like fortunately, my dad is paying for my education, so I didn't take any loan as such. Yeah, that's just I want to add.
From my end, I have also taken an education loan, just like Prithvi. Regarding the scholarship, if you apply, I believe if you apply before February at TU Delft, you're automatically considered for two scholarships. One is called the Holland Scholarship. So that's just a one-time payment of 5,000 euros by the university to you. And the second one, I forgot the name, but in the second scholarship, they cover your entire tuition fees. And that's very hard to get as well. Like maybe only 1% per batch gets it or something like that. But other than that, I also didn't apply for any other scholarships.
That would also mean that there are many universities which will give a scholarship if you apply before time, like TU Delft does. Even there are such universities in even US too. I believe Stevens has that, University of Cincinnati has that, IIT Chicago has that, which I personally got them from. So there would always be universities. I think University of Miami and University of Oregon also have good amount of scholarships to work. So it all comes down to whether you want to go with those universities and apply and try to get a scholarship if you apply early. So there are many options. So of course, explore the options you get as financing goes.
Thank you, guys. What were your expectations for masters, and were they met? Are they being met?
Three words, yes, it did. It totally makes sense why masters. It gives such a huge leap of faith, right? That's what I think. And I always tell the prospective students that MS is just not a degree at all. It is an life experience. It teaches you more than just academia, right? I think all of us will definitely resonate with the thought that we learn something more than we thought we would. And that is true in personal and professional life. Somehow we work hard and get into professional lives anyway, but how important is that we make some memories and some worth efforts in our master's program? I think each of us had that experience. So it's totally worth on my end, especially living in San Diego is a beauty place. So I think that was one of my bucket lists to finish off in my life. I think I pretty much completed very early in my life. But yes, totally it makes sense. I would highly recommend a master's degree. Wherever it would be, it doesn't matter. It gives you a very broad perspective towards life, how people are working hard, how people are actually living on their own. And I think the love of immigrants is totally different. And it's true in every broad country. So I think it's a one-time life experience to try out. If people are who want to do something adventurous and also gain academic experience as well as get a master's degree for yourself, I don't think any other option is as good as this one.
Yeah, I mean, like also what like the expectation that I had was, yeah, definitely the academics are going to be a bit harder compared to what I was used to in NITK. And my other expectation was I get to meet more people. Would I say both of the expectations have been met? Yes, definitely. Now see, you're applying for masters, so you're going to expect some level of difficulty, obviously. Hey, nothing comes easy, right? So, but then mainly what I really liked was, meeting new people. So in my projects, especially like, we're so comfortable, working with each other, like Indians and all stuff, in our, let's say NIT and all that stuff, because we rarely get any international students and all that stuff. But then like, working with, people from other countries, and bringing their perspectives, learning how they get their stuff done in their countries also is absolutely important and very insightful as well. In my first year, I had a Nigerian as my teammate, and it's crazy, like, what people in, like, Nigeria go through, and then, what's like the infrastructure, like, construction scene there, and, what he wants to do, and it always keeps you accountable as well. They always keep you accountable. Like, so for example, if I'm working with my, let's say, fellow Indian friends, let's say, we'll be like, we'll do it in the last minute and what stuff, blah, blah. But then over here, it's like, like he kept us like, going on track, meeting all these deadlines way before, the actual finish date and all that stuff. So just keep someone to keep you accountable, basically. And that you'll get, I feel, from, meeting people from diverse cultures and, various different countries. Yeah.
I do resonate with what both of them said. Like my expectations for masters were, first of all, like the covering me up technically, like equipping me with more technical skills so that I can be more presentable to the job market. So my skill set had to improve. That, and Also, you get to meet people from different cultures, as Venkat mentioned. In one of my projects, I did it with a person from Slovenia, and in that assignment, we were supposed to exchange a lot of ideas and decide which way we want to make our assignment proceed towards. And that exchange of ideas is extremely good because I got a whole different perspective of how people here think and how we think. So it's exchange of ideas, diverse cultures, and of course, like, you can make many new friends along the way as well. So it's all in all a great experience.
Thank you, guys. Next question. Some advice for the first years, if you guys have any, if they plan to pursue further studies, like if they plan to like start right then, if they have to plan their way. Do you guys have any advice?
I feel first year is a bit too early. But then, yeah, if you have an idea, like, that's absolutely amazing. Like, then you would streamline yourself and then you would build your, let's say, profile accordingly, right? So you'll get into more research. You will, publish papers, I guess. You'll work with more professors, So, yeah, I mean, if you're planning to, work from first year itself, then, yeah, definitely work on, getting into clubs, let's say, get into ASC, get into ISTE Concrete, do some, get into competitions, let's say, for like structural or construction or any design competition or whatever. Build your profile. If you want to do thesis-based masters, then yeah, definitely, like, Prithviraj and Swarnangshu mentioned, like, go for, like more research internships, get, research experience under a professor. So yeah, those are a few things that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with the fact the first year is very early because you have not yet been exposed to the courses of your stream, basically. So that streamlining generally happens from late second year, I would say, not even the third semester. But if you already have a prior idea or knowledge or interest as to what you want to do in the future, it's very good. Then accordingly, if you join a club, you can probably suggest projects in that domain and work further on it. And yeah, just basically develop your exposure towards your interests, and also try exploring various other things, because bachelor's is all about exploring, and then finally out of that choosing one area which you're most interested in and going ahead with that.
Totally agree with all the facts they mentioned, but I think I have a different story on that as well. So I think because I was personally in that boat that in my first year, I almost made up my mind to go abroad. I do not know what I want to do, but I want to go abroad because one main reason was I was kind of disappointed that I was very close to an IIT but could not get into it. So although IIT is just confined to India, so why don't I just broaden my vision and say I'll go abroad and work in big universities? So I think that was my motivation right in first year, that I have to go somehow. But the question is how. So I think that's how is the part where all these all points, what they mentioned, come into picture, where you got to think, where do you want to go, what do you want to do, whether it's any kind of profession you want to do in civil engineering. So I think I had my mindset on first year itself, and the very first thing I had to look around is the clubs, especially. And the reason I had joined a Rotaract club was to do something different than academia. That was my motto, like do something different in the clubs, talk something other than academics, so that I get to know what other people are doing, what others' thoughts are and how they think. So pretty much a simple fact. And then if you could try to apply for abroad internships, abroad programs, abroad MUNs, I do not know. Like, I think leveraging the opportunities you get abroad becomes such a crucial thing, because one thing I definitely know for sure is America will value your abroad experience. Wherever you do, it doesn't matter. Because if you have traveled abroad, you have come back to India safely, all in time, US Embassy is going to trust you that you're going to go there and study and come back again. So that trust becomes great and vital. I almost had an abroad experience, but did not go due to lack of funding. But I would say if you start working around it, I'm sure you definitely get one in your second or third years. So having great mindset right in first year is not at all bad. In fact, like Venkat said, it's great to have it right away. So start looking around, try to leverage your options. So whatever you get on the way, whether it's irrespective of the clubs or going abroad to do some internships, and if you could get my tax would definitely be a boost to your resumes. And all the thing my tax would want to see is good GPA. So although physics cycle in ITK is terribly bad, I screwed it up. So that's screwed by GPA. But I would say if you really have big dreams, work on your GPAs in your first year, get through my tax. My tax will definitely get you the second year and boost your resumes. And that gives to win-win situation. You have a broad experience, you have my tax holder. And I think that same goes with that application as well. So I am saying nothing bad. Just go with the flow. Just find your how. How takes a lot of time. It took almost 4 semesters for me to find my how. So, and then once I got it, just keep sailing.
Guys, so we have the last question for today. So, everyone, when they think of civil engineering, they think of hard hats, like they have to do intense field work. So, is that true, or is it just, you're sitting in an office environment all the time?
I think Warren should definitely go out first on this.
So for construction, I'm going to give it from a construction perspective. Okay. So with construction, we have 2 types. So there's field engineering, which you obviously work in the field. That's the name. And then you have project controls, basically, cost analysis, cash flow, let's say, scheduling, earned value on schedule. Like, these are terms I'm just putting out there. You can do your own research later on. So those are more office oriented because you have to sit in front of like a system, and then you have to schedule the project. You have to run run Excel sheets, do the cash flow analysis, see if the project is on schedule, and if the project is not having any cost overruns and all that stuff. Right? That's pretty important. So those type of jobs doesn't mean that you don't have you have no field experience or stuff. You definitely have to go to the field and see if everything's going according to schedule or not. But it'll be much more like, let's say 25% compared to, let's say a field engineer, where you probably will have to live in a temporary structure inside the, you have to do your job inside a temporary structure on site, right? So field engineer will be monitoring all the site activities, if someone's putting the rebar correctly, or, maintaining just a schedule of quantities, let's say, billing of quantities, and then, seeing if whatever's in the plans, in the drawings provided by, structural engineers, can you implement that, physically on site, and then go back and forth with the design team, and then, make changes accordingly, right? So that's more field oriented. Project controls is more office oriented with a bit of field exposure as well. So it's a good balance between both.
Totally agreed on this construction management perspective. I think it's right to move on. I would like to add on the structural engineering perspective that, yeah, we do have to go on site, but I think it has become like a psychological thing that in India, when whoever gets entry-level engineering, they go on site and work 8-10 hours every day. And that's how people think as civil engineers do. But if some people do like that, so that's a great to do in India, but in abroad, scenes are really different. So in structural engineering, we got to work a lot of office work because we got to do a lot of designing work, which takes a lot of efforts and softwares. And you need planning, you need design team to help you, you need mentors to tell you what exactly to do in a critical situation. There are, if I use terms like cantilever slabs, like they have used deflections. So sometimes architecture do not want any columns or any beams to be added on that cantilever. They want to do something aesthetics. And if they want to do some aesthetic, and you're going to solve the problem that your cantilever slab is not going to deflect higher than some value, it's pretty big challenge, and it's not even constructed. Where would you go to see it, right? You guys sit and work around and think about your imagination and do some statics and do a lot of work around it. So at least in America, for structural engineering, it's more of an office work. But we also go for site, as Venkat mentioned, that to see whether every structural aspect is taken care of. And there would be some things where the problem came and we got to go and address right at the site. So that's fun. I definitely love to go on site when they're under construction. I do not like wearing head hats at all. I always imagine myself to sitting in an AC room and walking around my designs and think that's all I want, right? And I think I have accomplished it right in America. I would say any structural engineer would definitely want to accomplish it. So I can't speak about India because I've not interned or worked for an engineering firm. But since my friends did, it was a hard hat job where they went on site all the time, whether it's girls or boys, it doesn't matter, you got to work on site. So if you like it, go ahead, great. You'll get a lot of experience working field engineers. You get a lot of paid. You're always in demand. But if it's for structural engineering, it's an office job. It's a great job. It gives a lot of imagination power. And I think the best part of structural engineering is to think around and talk to people and get mentored and see how problems can be solved. I think that's the best USP of structural engineering is every problem is a new problem. So it cannot be same. It's definitely not the same. So every project, everything has a different problem, and that keeps us busy. So yeah, pretty much a good office job in America.
Yeah, I completely agree with Prithvi's opinions. The job of a structural engineer, even in Netherlands, it's primarily an office job. I can speak from my internship experience. So even though I was in the office 5 days a week, I was working in the office with StatPro software. But the structural engineers who actually work for the company, I saw them going to site maybe once or twice a week. The remaining 3 days, it's all designing work and then planning with a lot of team members. And since the projects that my company dealt with involved inputs from chemical engineering department, the electrical department, and also instrumentation, and the piping department, mechanical as well. So they used to have a lot of meetings, and then each department would go and do their work, and then they would come back, meet together again to discuss what to do next. But yeah, it's mainly an office job where you work with a lot of softwares. You design using StatPro. The company where I worked in, StatPro is fundamentally used, and also a lot of new softwares like I don't exactly recollect now. It's been 6 months since the internship ended, but you do not need to worry about knowing those softwares prior to joining the company, because once you join the company, you will not be immediately assigned a project. They will first train you with all the softwares, and then slowly they'll start integrating you into a small project, and then you move to the big ones.
I just want to add one thing that probably isn't related to the question. Let's say one more important thing that I just wanted to mention was, please get a driving license in India and then come. Try your best to get a driving license at least, because in the US, I think if you have an Indian license, I think you can drive for like 6 months, I think, upon arrival. And then the thing is, for construction, at least you need the thing is, America as a country is very reliant on cars. Okay, you need a car for pretty much everything, since it's pretty far, at least in Indiana, at least, like from what I've experienced. And a lot of construction jobs that I've been internship jobs that I've been applying for on LinkedIn and everything. One of the prerequisite, the requirements is have a valid driver's license. And I think in Indiana, at least, like if you have an Indian driver license, you can directly take the test, the final test, and get a license within, I think, 1 or 2 months. And then you can use that US driver's license for pretty much everything. And most likely company will provide you with a company vehicle as well, which you can drive from site to office and all stuff and to and fro. So a driver's license also is pretty important. If you can get it done, it's amazing.
That's a great point, actually. Like every structural engineering job also has a description saying you gotta have your car and they'll reimburse the money for your travel. The one last thing in America is we have something called as licenses. I love the way America works on it, because India also has, but no one's really serious. Like no one is a licensed structural engineer, right? No one knows. Even an architect is a structural engineer. They just design by themselves. So there is no board to look over. But America is amazingly strong and advocate licenses. So I'm happy to say that I have passed my first stage of license for structural engineer, and I'm planning to apply for my second in the next year. So once I become a professional engineer, which is the license name as PE, we earn a lot higher and we get more, the more control over our projects. We can see the documents, we can sign the documents, we can look around, we get to place so around. But I would say it's definitely one of the hardest exams we could ever give. It's nothing compared to IT Advanced maybe, but it's all in the field you want to work with. So it comes with an experience. That's why we take a year gap before we write that exam. So license advocate is amazing here. So I think every European country also should have a license exam for structural and professional engineers. So if that's there, I would say get that as well. I took my exam a little late because I was working on research. So pretty much busy all around the clock. But the sooner I got, I get to a lot of people and they said, oh, you got the license already? Great. So we want to interview you. So that does show them that I'm fundamentally good. in engineering. I know how it works. So my second exam, license exam, is going to be more on how to solve structural problems, right? It comes with experience. So I think that's the best thing you could have in America. So once we have it, that's great. So that's something you should remember in structural engineering, at least in America.
Just to add on for the Netherlands part, there's no such license requirements here. Only UK has that, no other European country. And also regarding the cars part that Venkat mentioned, that's not a necessity here because everyone travels by public transport. So it's absolutely not an issue.
Okay. Thank you guys. That must be all of the questions. So on behalf of all of ISTE's Concrete's members, we would like to thank all of the alumni speakers for taking the time off from their very busy schedules to be present here today. The questions you guys answered so patiently and the invaluable advice you provided today will surely guide us all on our master's journey. So again, thank you all and good night or good morning, I think.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope this helps a lot of people and look abroad and stay abroad and work abroad. So all the best, everyone.
All the best, guys.
All the best. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.